everyone, I hope you're all well and welcome to our 6-month update. So I'm going to go back to doing a mummy and baby update this month because there's a little bit to talk about. But yeah, I can't believe it's been half a year since Rory's been born. That's madness. I can't believe that's gone by so fast. It's just, I've been quite emotional about it this month actually. Yeah, really sad about it. But half a year's happened, he's a really grown-up little boy. I remember thinking when he's 6 months he'll be grown up, but he's definitely a little grown-up boy. He's nowhere near as babyish as well, he's not a baby anymore basically. He obviously is, but he doesn't feel like a baby anymore. He doesn't want to be a baby anymore. He's desperate to grow up and develop and do all those things. So first point is, how is Rory? Rory is so good. Apart from the little teething she-devil, he's a really good, happy little boy. He's so funny, he's got so much personality and he really wants to make you laugh. So he'll like pull a little face, or he's really good at responding to things that you find humorous and continuing to do them like for days. Like he doesn't just do it in that one kind of moment, he'll carry on doing it a lot. So yeah, so he's a really happy, funny little boy. He's learnt to roll to his front this month and to his back. So he learnt how to roll front to back first, and then he's learnt to roll back to front. Quite recently, in the last 2 weeks I would say, he's been really trying to do the back to front one. Is it back to front? Yeah, really trying to do it and getting stuck on his elbow, and he's finally sussed it. And it's so weird because especially at night feeds, because we're still bed sharing, I'll like go downstairs and leave him on his back, like in the middle of the bed, and then I'll come back upstairs and he's on his front, and it's just really weird. And like I'll leave him in, like on the floor, and he'll be in a different position altogether. So yeah, he's letting us do back to front, and he's trying to kind of make those first movements to crawl. He's got that like instinct that he knows he wants to crawl, but he just doesn't know how to do it right now. But he just kind of flaps about, but he definitely knows that he's got that instinctive thing that he wants to move, but he hasn't pieced it together yet. What else is new about Rory? Really chatty little boy at the moment, like makes loads of noise, like really happy little thing. If you take him to baby group, he is really funny and really likes to kind of coo and make people smile and laugh. What else? I don't know, normally when I do these updates I type them out in the blog post first so I have time to think about it, and then I do the video, but I'm doing it the other way around this time, so I'm just doing it off the top of my head. So yeah, so just generally a really happy little boy. Teething has been really testing. When his teeth are hurting, he's a completely different child. So you can just tell he's upset, he's really withdrawn, quite emotional I would say. We'll have little crying fits, and he's not a massive crier at all, like he very rarely cries. So like I think it was 3 or 4 days ago, he just cried solidly for 20 minutes, and that's unheard of. I've never known him to do that, apart from maybe when he was a newborn, but no, I've never known him do that. But really crying, nothing would console him, not milk, not dummy, not moving rooms, just really had to just cry it out basically. Yeah, he's suddenly got into the dummy as well, which I think might be to do with his teeth. So he's now always attached to a dummy, which he never used to be. He never used to be bothered about a dummy. Like some days he'd go the whole day without a dummy, and we just used it for sleeping, like the last crux to get him to sleep. But yeah, he now is into his dummy. What else is he up to? But yeah, teething's been a nightmare, and the only thing that seems to do any form of justice is Calpol, which obviously you don't really want to kind of keep administering. So any tips on teething, that'd be great. He's not massively into teething toys, but I'm going to try and reintroduce them again. Now he's kind of got a bit more coordination, he might be there with them. But yeah, I've tried Ashton & Parsons. I've just bought some teether granules to give those a go. The Willida ones are the best ones we've come across so far, but I'm going to give teether a little go. Obviously use liquid ambisol, but I don't feel that kind of cuts it. I think he has more of an itching than a pain, so he just is more irritated. What else? We've tried lots of different things, but any teething remedies. The only thing I haven't tried are the teething necklaces, amber teething necklaces, which I might give a go, but lots and lots of dribbling. He's got red cheeks, a rash around his face and stuff. What else is he? Yeah, and just kind of withdrawn and upset. He's also waking in the night a lot more, but I'll go on to that in a second. He is also a big boy. He is almost 21 pounds, but he's gone up a whole percentile quite recently, and they weighed him twice when I took him into weigh-in last week because they were really shocked at how big he is. Well, I don't think he's big. I think he's just, well, he is big. He's very long. He's very much in proportion. He's not overweight or anything, but he's just a big boy, aren't you? You're just a chunky lad. This is how long he is. Whoop, whoop. Yeah, he's just a big sturdy boy. He is quite big if you compare him to other babies, but he's always been a really good feeder. Like, he's always taken a lot of milk. It's only in the last couple of weeks that he's what are you doing? It's only in the last couple of weeks that he's reduced his milk feeds, despite being weaned for the last 2 months. So if you think about it, he's been weaned and still taking on just as much milk, and it's only since his teeth have been really flaring up that he's had some control over his milk intake. So next segment is sleeping. So sleep is excuse you, sleep's not that different. He is now into more of a routine when it comes to sleeping in the day, so I kind of know when he will be sleeping, and he's pretty dead on with it. But generally he's not a great daytime sleeper still. He likes to be cuddled and he likes to be held. So normally I'll make sure that both his 2 naps a day are normally in the pushchair. Sometimes I get him in the cot. Something happened the other day which was unheard of. We took him out for the day, me and his dad, and in the pram, he fell asleep in the pram. I brought him back home. I put his white noise toy on for him, which is my Hummy one, and he stayed in the pram asleep for about 2 hours, which has never ever ever happened. Normally the second you stop moving the pram, he's awake. So that was pretty amazing. But yeah, generally he likes to be cuddled to sleep, or he likes to be in the pushchair for his daytime naps. Sleep in the evening, he finally has a routine. I'm going to talk about routine. Normally I do routine as a separate segment, but I kind of need to talk about it now, so I'll just talk about it now. So routine basically is wake up in the morning about 8 o'clock. Sometimes he goes back down again to 9:30, sometimes he doesn't. If he wants to go back down, I would always let him go back down, because I just feel that he needs that sleep. So it goes down until about 9:30 sometimes. Then when he has a milk feed at 8, and he normally goes for a poo, like first thing in the morning. So he basically wakes up for a feed and a poo, bit like his dad. Yeah, then sometimes goes back down. More often than not, he does go back down at the moment. But it's phases. So like for a week he would wake up and he was awake, and now this week he's back down again. So it's very phasey. Then when he's awake at 9:30 or 8, I would take him downstairs. Most of the time he will have breakfast. Generally he has 3 meals a day now, so he'll have breakfast. That could be a yogurt, that could be baby rice, or it could be porridge. It's some kind of like something breakfasty. As I go on to baby-led weaning, which I'll talk about later, I'm going to change it up a little bit. So yeah, so he has that, and then we tend to then get dressed after breakfast. I don't know, it depends on whether he's hungry or not, depends on what kind of mood he's in. We tend to get dressed after breakfast. I prefer to do it after breakfast, because then if he made a mess, he's not made a mess on his new clothes. So we'll then get dressed, and then we normally go out, and by the time we are up, dressed, ready, out, it's about 10 o'clock. He'll tend to, no, yeah, that's if we wake up at 8. Basically it takes about an hour and a half to sort our stuff out. So yeah, and then he will have a nap whilst we're out. So if we go out and we're normally going to town, or I'll go on a walk, or anything like that, he'll have a nap, and it's normally for about 20 to 30 minutes, sometimes 40 minutes. He's not a great napper. And yeah, he'll have a nap in a pram, or in the car if we were in the car. Then come home, have his lunch for about 12 or 1, sometimes pushing it to 1:30 if he's had that nap and he's slept over. I'll never wake him up for lunch. So for lunch he will have anything, and he will also have a milk feed after lunch too. And then kind of tend to do what we want in the afternoons, and he will have another nap around 2:30 or 3 o'clock. And then yeah, he's awake, and then we do dinner at about 5 o'clock. I try and get it for most days. And then after dinner he will have, well, I normally have things they need to do in the evening, so like wash his bottles and sterilise them, things like that. And then about 5:30, are you rolling over? Let's straighten you up a bit. Oh god. Yeah, about 5:30 he will then have a bath. 5:30 to 6 he'll have a bath, and then we do bedtime routine. And bedtime routine is like dry him off, baby massage, sometimes a book, bottle, bed, and then he goes in his cot. He will go in his cot and he will wake up probably about an hour later, normally just crying, and I will just soothe him with either his dummy or a little bit more milk. and then he'll go back to sleep again, back into his cot till about 10 o'clock. We'll come to bed, and then I'll wake him up. Well, sometimes he wakes up, sometimes he doesn't, and I'll wake him and put him in our bed to sleep. I am going to start phasing out the waking him up to put him in our bed. Now he's got his sensor pad in his cot, I will just leave him until he decides to wake up, but normally he does wake up just before we go to bed, so I just do it for him basically. Then feeding. So feeding is a whole new ball game at the moment. So he has been lactose intolerant his whole life up until recently, and I started trialling him on just normal milk, normal formula, when Rich was away in Germany not that long ago. So a couple of weeks ago he was away in Germany for work, and normally I used to make up his bottles every night. So I'd make up his bottles for the next 24 hours and leave them in the fridge. And whilst Rich was in Germany, come on. That was just a step that was getting really, really difficult. He was away for 2 or 3 nights, I think, I can't remember. But that was just something that I didn't have the time or the energy to do, because like normally one of us would do it and then we'll have Rory. So washing his bottles, sterilising, and then making the bottles like took about 45 minutes, and I just found it really difficult. So I went out and bought a bottle of pre-made formula, like the big carton, which would last 24 hours, and he was fine. So I thought maybe he'd grown out of his lactose intolerance. So I did that for 3 or 4 days, just kept on buying bottles because I didn't want to buy a big carton of formula if we were going to waste it, and he was fine. So then moved him on to the Hip Organic formula because I'd heard better things about it, but the box is really, really irritating. So after we finished that box, I put him back onto Aptamil, which is the milk he was on when he was first born, and he has been on Aptamil lactose intolerance milk as well, just a bottle. So I put him back on Aptamil, and he's literally been fine. It's completely grown out of his lactose intolerance. So I have done the milk challenge, is what it's called, where you try them back onto normal formula when they're on lactose intolerant formula. So I did it at 4 months, and I did it maybe 2 or 3 months, I can't remember, and both times failed. He had really colicky symptoms after it, and this time, yeah, he's literally been fine. So he's grown out of his lactose intolerance, which is so exciting. It makes life so much easier when you're out on the go, because having a baby with a specialist formula, they don't make the big bottles of pre-made, and it's just really difficult. So it's quite handy to now be able to give him to the childminder or my mum or anybody with just sterilised bottles and a bottle of pre-made, and just send them off. It just makes life for travelling so much easier. We're going on holiday next month, so it makes that easier for being on the aeroplane, because I was a bit worried about powdered formula and stuff with that. So yeah, so that's happened. Feeding also, he is no longer on anti-colic bottles. Well, he is. He still has the Dr. Brown's option ones, and I did take out the green valve which pushes all the air out, and he is fine, but the bottles aren't that great. Once you take the valve out, the teats kind of collapse and stuff, so I put the valves back in just for the sake of the bottle being really annoying, and I've now just bought today some Tommy Tippy bottles to give him a go on those to see how he gets on, just because Dr. Brown's, they're amazing, they're the best anti-colic bottles I've come across, and I've tried them all, but if you don't need them to be anti-colic, washing them is quite annoying, so I'm just going to put him on normal bottles and see how he gets on. So yeah, and then weaning, he is now on 3 meals a day, most of them are puree, but now he's hit 6 months. I spoke to the health visitor last week, and she said to just start baby-led weaning last week, but I just gave him like toast or a bagel or some steamed veg and stuff. But I'm now going to start taking it really seriously, and she also said to start giving him like whole milk and cereal, so that's really exciting. So he starts having yogurt. He's had the Ella's Kitchen like brekkie range so far. I haven't given him a proper yogurt. Or he also had a mini milk, which she really liked for his teeth. But yeah, I always said that I wasn't going to go down the baby-led weaning route, because it's really messy, and I've just had some weird experiences with it where I've seen kids go on to be really bad eaters, but actually that's unique to those children, and I'm going to try it for my child. He really likes it. If I'm eating something, he'll grab it out of my hand and go for it. So yeah, started to do baby-led weaning, and he's going to be offered whatever we're eating. I've just picked up 2 cookbooks from the library because I'm that cool about it, and I'm just going to do some research on what you can give them, because I'm a bit clueless with it. So if you can, tell me if you've got any experience baby-led weaning, kind of what foods that you gave, what foods your baby liked, how you made it easier, that kind of stuff. But yeah, I'm really excited to start trying that out. And then me. So I wanted to do like a little postpartum update today because I don't know, I've been feeling so emotional recently about having a baby. It's mad, and I don't know whether it's a normal thing to feel at the 6-month mark or whether I'm just a complete freak. But basically, combined with like more talk of returning to work, because that's obviously getting closer. He's had his first settling in session with his childminder, so that's kind of a stark reminder that we'll no longer be spending every single day, 24 hours a day together. And yeah, there's just something about him being no longer a baby that makes me feel really, really emotional. Like, he's still quite clingy and still wants me and stuff, but I just can't believe he's growing so fast. So I've been really struggling to deal with that. Also, him sleeping in his cot in the evenings, I feel like I've lost my right arm, because normally he would be sat on me having a cuddle, would be watching telly, and he would sleep that way. And although at the time it really, really annoyed me because I couldn't move around, I couldn't do anything because I had him, and I felt like I'd lost a lot of independence. Now I don't have him doing it, I really, really miss him, because I'm just irritating like that. I'm just that type of person. And when he sleeps, I'm like, wake up, because I miss you. So yeah, so I've been really emotional, and I don't know whether it's quite normal, maybe like your hormones settle down, or maybe, I don't know really, but I've just really struggled. I've been so broody for another baby. I'm not gonna have one, by the way, so no one panic, because I really want to enjoy Rory in all of his, like, you know, his baby years, and just it be me and him. But I've been so broody, like, part of me loves him growing up and being really, like, really mature and doing all these new milestones and stuff, and part of me just wants him to stop. I can't believe it's going so fast. I feel really, like, it literally physically hurts my heart that he's growing so quickly. So yes, that's happened. And then also, yeah, postpartum wise, I'm fine about my labour now. I've completely kind of moved on from that. I'll link my labour and delivery story down below if you haven't caught up on it already, but I did have quite a traumatic labour and I was really, really upset about it. I am going to do a video in the next couple of weeks about kind of dealing with a traumatic labour and stuff, and how I got over it, and kind of the steps we took and stuff. But yeah, I'm fine about it now. I've decided in my head, but it might change if I got pregnant again, that when I get pregnant again in my next labour, I'm going to really try for a VBAC. So I think having that kind of decision in my head has really helped me, that I really want to try for a natural labour. I don't know why I'm talking about this now, because it's completely irrelevant because I'm not pregnant, but I think that's helped me get over the notion of having a cesarean. The fact that I've decided in my head for the next birth. It's really weird. People that haven't had a cesarean might not know what I'm talking about. When you've had a cesarean, you either are fine about having another cesarean, or you really want to try and have a natural birth. If you try and have a natural birth, there's quite a high risk that you will end up having another emergency cesarean. So people that have had a cesarean will often decide to go for an elective cesarean to take back that control. So if you've decided you're having a cesarean, you're doing it for yourself, if that makes sense. So I had that, like, I want to try naturally, but if I end up having an emergency C-section, I'll be really pissed off, and I wish I'd gone for elective. So I kind of couldn't decide what I wanted to do, but I am going to try for a natural birth. It's completely irrelevant now, but I just wanted to kind of update you on my thoughts and feelings about labour, because I think, especially when you're pregnant, or for me, maybe I was quite naive, I thought once you did labour, although it would be horrendous, you did it and you had your baby and you moved on. But obviously now I'm 6 months postpartum and I'm still very much talking about my labour. It's very much stayed with me. So I think it's quite important to talk about the, like, contraindications of having a traumatic labour, because I don't think you get properly prepared for it. And I get why you don't get prepared for it when you're pregnant, because obviously no one wants to hear scary stories when they're pregnant, but sometimes you kind of need that preparation too, just so you can kind of deal with it yourself. Postpartum body wise is a weird one. I've lost a lot of weight since I had a baby. I think I lost a lot of weight when I was pregnant, and you obviously just couldn't tell because I was pregnant, but I only put on a stone with Rory. Just about a stone with Rory, and he was 8 pounds 6 ounces. So obviously if you include the placenta, amniotic fluid, whatever else goes on, that's not a huge amount of weight to put on for a pregnancy. So I think I ended up losing quite a lot of weight when I was pregnant, and then obviously once the swelling and the water had gone down, because I was quite swollen after my cesarean, because I'd had a lot of fluid pumped into me because I was poorly afterwards. I was really skinny, and I'm now like a size 6, whilst previously I was a size 10, and I have been a size 12, so I'm now a size 6. Yeah, so loads of people would think that I've done really well and I'm really lucky, and I am really lucky, because this is going to sound really crap to moan about, because I'm sure there's loads of people out there that feel really insecure because they haven't lost their baby weight, but there's also a lot that goes with losing your baby weight to an extreme case. I haven't intentionally lost my baby weight like that. I literally just woke up one day and I'd lost it all. It was gone. And obviously combined with, like, me and Rory go on quite long walks every single day, and he's quite a heavy lad, and obviously when you first have a baby you eat less because you just don't have the time. So combined with all those 3 things, I just lost a lot of weight, and a lot of people became very concerned very quickly, and there's a lot of comments attached to it. So you know, people will like look at you like, oh, haven't you lost a lot of weight, like, and there's negative comments about it, as opposed to it being like, oh, well done. Not, it shouldn't even, people shouldn't even have the right to comment on your baby weight loss, but there's negative comments to it, like people suddenly become really concerned, and that makes you feel really like weird too. Anyone commenting on any form of body weight is odd. And also for me, I was used to being quite curvy, like I'd have like bigger boobs and a bigger hip, but like I was quite very hourglass, I would say. So I had, like, you know, I was slim but very hourglass, and now my body shape is quite boyish. So like childbirth has literally lost me my boobs. I'm probably now an A cup, whereas before I was a C cup, and my bum looks like an airbag, like has gone off. So to go from being an hourglass figure to quite a boyish figure is quite a hard thing to get used to, and when you've had a baby you don't really take yourself in. Like obviously before you have a baby you look at, not intentionally, but you're probably quite body aware, like you dress yourself nicely, you look in the mirror a lot, whilst now I just chuck on like t-shirt, leggings and get out, just practical things. So I haven't really taken in the time to look at myself, if that makes sense, or get used to dressing a new figure or anything like that. So I do feel like my body is a little bit alien to me right now, and like I said, it does sound like I'm just moaning for moaning's sake, but that is the truth and how I feel, and I've obviously always been very truthful on this channel. But yeah, it's just, it's a really weird feeling to not know your body and not feel like that's who you are. Like I always really liked being a bit more hourglass figured, and to now not be that is quite weird, if that makes sense. So I'm just trying to adjust to that. I go on holiday next month, and it sounds stupid because obviously other people would be concerned for the opposite reason, but I'm self-conscious to be in a bikini. I feel really weird because sometimes I can like see my ribs, and yeah, it feels odd. But like I said, people will probably be really pissed off with me moaning, and it just sounds like I'm moaning for the sake of it. But I think it's important to talk about all aspects of baby weight loss and baby weight after you've had a baby, basically. So yeah, so I want to talk about that. And also, contraception is a huge one at the moment that I'm really, really struggling with. So after I had a baby, even before my 6-week check, I went back on the pill about 3 or 4 weeks, I think. Went back on the pill, and I haven't had my own postpartum period. Yeah, so I haven't had a postpartum period on my own accord, if that makes sense, because obviously you're meant to take the pill once you've had your first period, but I just didn't, because I wanted to be back on contraception because I didn't want to worry about pregnancy. So I've had periods because I've taken my pills break, but not on its own, basically. But yeah, as it turns out, I'm crap at taking the pill. I always was. That's not why Rory's here, before anyone thinks that. He's planned. I'm not very good at taking the pill, and also I don't feel like it's agreeing with me. When I'm on the pill, I don't feel like I deal with stress as well as I do normally, and dealing with stress is normally kind of one of my stronger points. I'm pretty good at like staying quite calm. So yeah, so I've stopped taking the pill. So I'm now looking for the next thing to do. So I'm gonna go back to the doctor and discuss contraception with them. I really don't feel like I want to go on the coil, but that might be the best option. But if anyone has any tips or advice or whatever works for them, then leave a comment down below, because that'd be really handy, because thank you for kicking me. That's the one thing that I'm really struggling with, and it's a bit of a minefield. But I don't know if, yeah, I'm gonna talk about it because I feel like it's important. But has anyone had an epidural and still had, like, I don't know, it's really weird to describe. I'm gonna talk about the epidural because I feel like I should. I think when you are pregnant, everyone has thoughts about the epidural that they don't really want to do it, but you kind of, I don't know, you kind of go with what you have to do in labour. And I had an epidural because I couldn't rest. So if you haven't watched my labour story, basically my waters went at 7 AM and very quickly by 11 AM I was having contractions every 2 to 3 minutes, but not proper contractions. Like, it would just be very painful to sit or to lie down. I could only stand up or be in the bath. So my labour was very long, and by about, I think I was like 24 hours into it of standing around, so I was exhausted because I hadn't slept. I was like, I just have to have the epidural to sleep. I had the epidural. It was just as well I had it because I ended up having a cesarean, but I don't know how much the cesarean happened because I had the epidural, if that makes sense. Because when I had the epidural, which I had at about 8 AM I think, my labour stopped at 7 centimetres, and I had to be re-induced, and then I didn't start pushing until 7 PM, so it took 12 hours to get to 9.5 centimetres, and it was the last lip of my cervix that wouldn't dilate, and also his head seemed to be slightly wonky, which ended up me having a cesarean, and I was at massive risk of infection because it'd been like 36 hours, by the time my cesarean had happened, it had been like 39 hours since my water's been broken. So yeah, so I had an epidural, and I don't, it's hard to say I regret it because at the time that's what I needed to do. But it may or may not have ended up with me having a cesarean, I'm not sure. Had my waters not broken, they probably would have done an episiotomy and forceps, but by the time they'd reassessed me, it was just too late to kind of put any more pressure on it. I'd got an infection, so I had to go have a cesarean. So yeah, and also my cervix may have always had problems, and his head may have always been wonky. It's hard to say, so I can't say I regret having an epidural, but that is something to consider, that it did stop my labour and it did take a lot longer for anything else to happen. Had I not had the epidural, I could have had him by lunchtime the following day, so not 10:21 PM, which is when I did have him. So yeah, but anyway, so I had the epidural. But even 6 months on, if I get backache, it is very much in my epidural incision, and I can literally point my finger at where I had the epidural because I've still got a scar from it. Yeah, I can literally point my finger and touch it because I still have pains there, like it will be like pins and needles very much in my epidural. So I just wondered if anyone else had that really, and just to talk about it because I think that you don't really hear about things after labour. But I'm not saying I regret having the epidural because at the time it was the best thing ever and I loved it, and just being able to have a break from contractions was amazing. Contractions are fucking hardcore, and I was vomiting in pain. Like, I'm not trying to scare anybody because I still dealt with my contractions quite well. You know, you don't have a choice, but I've been left for a very long time. It was 24 hours in labour with no pain relief. I've been left for a very long time in active labour because the midwives kind of had decided that I was making it up, which I wasn't. So I've been left to get to like 6 centimetres without pain relief, when normally you start having it at 4 centimetres, and I was dilating a centimetre an hour. So that was 2 hours of being very much in active labour with no pain relief, not even gas and air. So by the time I could have it, I was like, you're giving me the best stuff. I'm taking the whole thing. Even though gas and air is so good, like everyone says it just takes you away from the pain, but I don't agree, it's amazing. But anyway, yeah, so I'm not knocking the epidural. At the time you have to do what you have to do, and that's fine, and you should do that. But I just wondered if anyone else suffered afterwards. What else about me? I think that's pretty much it, and this is now quite a long video, so I will wrap things up. But that is our 6-month update. I feel like the next couple of ones will be a bit less emotional. The 7-month update, no, we wouldn't have gone on holiday yet, so the 8-month update might be an exciting one because it's the first time we would have travelled with a baby. But yeah, that is our updates. If you haven't already, please subscribe to our channel. We upload videos every Monday, Wednesday and Friday, and also give this video a big thumbs up, please, and that would be great. But thank you very much for watching, and we will see you in the next one. Bye!